He looked straight into the crowd, held the microphone like it belonged to him, and said the words that shattered me in an instant. Some people are just old and dull. I need fresh energy. Laughter broke out around us. The kind of shallow laughter that cuts deeper than knives. Everyone thought it was a joke, a playful jab to make the mood lighter. But I felt the blood rush out of my face. My lungs locked, and in that moment, I realized Dorian wasn't joking at all. I had heard his voice tremble in cracked bars when no one cared about him. I had seen him strum on broken strings because he couldn't afford new ones. I had watched him pour cheap whiskey into his coffee to feel alive on stage. I was there when nobody else was. And tonight, after everything, he stood under those lights, polished, adored, untouchable, and he erased me with one sentence. I forced myself to clap. My palms stung with every hollow hit. The industry people turned to me with their polite, knowing smiles. I was the Omega who financed him. The one who made sure the spotlight never turned off. The one who believed when no one else did. But now I was also the man being laughed at. The champagne flute felt like lead in my hand. I couldn't even sip. The scent of his cedar musk, once comforting, once grounding, now felt sharp and distant, like smoke choking me instead of warming me. When the speeches ended, I slipped out through the side corridor, away from the golden lights and the fake laughter. My steps echoed against the backstage walls. I thought maybe I could make it to the exit before he noticed. But of course he found me. Dorian always found me. "Kieran," he called, walking up with that lazy smile, the same smile that had melted me 100 times. But tonight it felt practiced. Empty. I didn't let him start. "You stood on that stage and called me old and dull." My voice was steady, but my chest burned. He tilted his head, as if I was overreacting. "Don't take it personal. You know how PR is. They want youth. They want reckless energy. You're safe. Too safe." I swallowed hard. "Safe? Yeah," he said casually, as if explaining to a child. "You've been my home. My anchor. But the truth is, safe doesn't trend anymore. It's not marketable. I need to be noise, not quiet." The words stabbed me in ways I didn't even know were possible. He had just turned everything I gave him into a weakness. My stability became his excuse. My love became his burden. I looked at him, really looked, the tailored suit I had bought him, the shoes polished by the stylist I had paid for, the gold chain glinting under the stage lights. Every inch of him was built on something I sacrificed. And now he stood in front of me and told me it wasn't enough. "I was your home," I whispered. He shrugged, eyes sliding away. "Homes are quiet. I need noise." For a moment the air between us trembled. My pheromones threatened to slip, to burst through the years of control and discipline I had drilled into myself. I clenched my fists, forced my breathing steady. I wouldn't let him see me lose it. I pulled my phone out, fingers shaking, and opened the banking app. The producer's pending payment glared back at me. With one swipe, I completed it, the final piece of his launch. "The last tie. Here," I said, shoving the phone back into my pocket. "That was my last responsibility. After tonight, you handle your image, your noise, your brand, and I'll handle my dignity." His lips curled into a mocking half-smile. "Don't make it a drama, Kieran." My throat tightened. "Drama?" I almost laughed. "No, Dorian. This isn't drama. This is exit." I walked past him, past the corridor filled with equipment cases and wires, past the muffled roar of the crowd that had just cheered for him. Each step felt heavier but cleaner. Behind me, I heard his manager Victor murmur, "He'll come around. They always do." I didn't turn back. Not this time. By the time I reached my car, the night felt hollow. I sat behind the wheel, staring at the leather band on my wrist, the one with his first autograph burned into it, when he was nobody and I was the only one who believed he'd be somebody. My chest tightened. With trembling fingers, I unbuckled it and placed it on the dashboard. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "From now on, coordinate with us, not him." His new PR. I stared at the text, then let out a bitter laugh. They had already erased me. Efficient. Cold. At home, I opened my closet and pulled out the clothes that smelled the most like him. The hoodie he left behind after a late rehearsal. The shirts that carried faint traces of his cologne. I folded them slowly, deliberately, and shoved them into a suitcase. When the zipper closed, the sound echoed through my chest like the slamming of a coffin. The night passed in silence. No calls. No text from him. Just the void I had created for myself. But the morning shattered that silence. 3 heavy knocks shook my door. I froze. My pulse raced as if my body already knew who it was. When I unlocked the chain and cracked the door open, there he was. Dorian. His eyes bloodshot, his hair a mess. His chest rising and falling like he hadn't slept. His cedar scent was sharp, restless, filling my apartment hallway in seconds. "Kieran," he rasped, almost desperate. "We need to talk." The pounding on my door echoed through me long after I opened it. Dorian stood there, disheveled and raw, like the stage-perfect alpha had been stripped away overnight. His eyes were rimmed red, his voice husky as he repeated, "We need to talk." I leaned against the frame, arms crossed, forcing calm into my tone. "Talk? Funny how you remember my existence when the applause fades." He flinched, just slightly, then tried for a half-smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Kieran, don't do this." I raised a brow. "Don't do what? React like a human after you humiliated me in front of half the industry?" Silence stretched. His cedar musk filled the hallway, sharper than usual, restless. He shifted closer, lowering his voice. "You always leave when things get intense." The words made something inside me snap. "I don't leave, Dorian. I stayed when you were nothing. I stayed when you had broken strings and an empty fridge. You're the one who's been running from gratitude, from respect, from me." His jaw clenched. "That's not fair. It's the only thing that is fair." I shot back, then stepped aside. "Fine. Talk. You've got 2 minutes. He brushed past me into the apartment, pacing as if he couldn't sit still. His eyes flicked to the packed suitcase by the door. "You're serious?" "Sharp observation," I said flatly. Dorian exhaled hard, dragging his fingers through his hair. "Look, I said things I shouldn't have." The old and dull comment. It was for effect, for PR. They want reckless youth, wild energy. I needed to show I wasn't chained down. I laughed, bitter and short. "Chained down? That's what my love was to you? A chain?" He grimaced. "You know I didn't mean it like that." "You meant it exactly like that," I replied, voice low, steady. "You just didn't expect me to walk away from the leash." Before he could respond, movement in the hallway caught my eye. My new neighbor, tall, broad-shouldered, casual in a gray hoodie, passed by. Cassian. He'd moved in last week. His stride was easy, his smile disarming. "Morning, Kieran," he called warmly. I returned the smile, soft but deliberate. "Morning, Cassian." Dorian froze. His head snapped toward the doorway, eyes narrowing on Cassian like he was a threat. The cedar musk around him spiked, sharp and territorial. When Cassian disappeared down the hall, Dorian shut the door with more force than necessary. "Who the hell was that?" I arched a brow. "My neighbor. He knows your name. That's what happens when people introduce themselves," I said smoothly. His eyes darkened, voice dropping low. "You don't know him. You can't I cut him off. "Oh, but you can cozy up with every influencer and PR darling Victor parades in front of you? That's different," he growled. "Different?" My laugh was sharp. "The only difference is that you need them for your image." While Cassian was simply being kind. And kindness is something I haven't felt from you in a long time. The silence between us burned. He raked a hand down his face, looking frayed. "Kieran, you're twisting this." "No, Dorian. I'm finally untwisting it." His shoulders sagged, but his pride wouldn't let him crumble completely. "Look, Victor set up an industry party tonight. Big sponsors, new contracts, people who matter. He wants me there with you." I blinked. "With me? After everything you said?" He nodded, stepping closer. "They think it looks stable, that I'm grounded. If you're there, it smooths the edges." My chest tightened, not with longing but with the sting of being reduced to a tool yet again. "So now I'm useful, because I look good in a frame next to you?" His expression faltered. "That's not—" "Yes, it is," I interrupted, but then I paused. Because maybe, just maybe, going would give me clarity. Maybe I needed to see with my own eyes if I was truly replaceable, or if his panic meant something more. "Fine," I said finally. "I'll come. but on my terms. His relief was almost palpable. He exhaled, shoulders loosening. Thank you, Kieran. I lifted a hand, stopping him. Don't thank me yet. That evening, I stood before my mirror, adjusting the collar of a black jacket. No flashy accessories, no desperate attempt to fit an image. Just me, clean, minimal, confident. When I walked into the party, the air was thick with perfume, alcohol, and ambition. Lights glared, cameras flashed, laughter bounced off the walls. I spotted Victor immediately, scanning the crowd like a hawk. His eyes landed on me and flicked up and down, calculating. Good, he said with a clipped nod. Minimal, stable. I ignored him and scanned the room. Dorian was near the stage, surrounded by a cluster of influencers. His shirt clung to him under neon lights. His laugh smooth and practiced. And yet when his eyes caught mine across the room, his smile faltered for a fraction of a second. I held his gaze for one beat, then broke it, moving toward the bar. That's when Cassian appeared again, his presence effortless, like he belonged everywhere. He leaned on the bar next to me, voice low and warm. Didn't expect to see you here. I smiled faintly. Neither did I. He tilted his head, studying me. You look like trouble I'd risk. The words hit me like a spark, not because I believed him, but because they were simple, honest, and free of calculation. Something Dorian hadn't given me in a long time. I felt the weight of a stare burning into me. Turning slightly, I caught Dorian across the room. Eyes locked on us. His jaw was tight, his hand white-knuckled around his glass. The music pounded. The laughter swelled. But for me the room narrowed to 2 points of tension. Cassian's casual warmth beside me, and Dorian's burning jealousy across the floor. Cassian leaned closer. His voice a whisper meant only for me. If he doesn't see you, someone else will. Before I could respond, the crowd shifted. And suddenly Dorian was there, cutting through the bodies like a storm, shoving past people who dared block his path. His scent hit me before his voice did. Sharp cedar spiked with possessiveness. He grabbed my wrist, his eyes blazing. Kieran, you're leaving with me. Now. His grip on my wrist was tight enough to sting. His eyes wild as he growled, Kieran, you're leaving with me. Now. The music thumped around us. People laughed. Glasses clinked. But none of it mattered. All I saw was Dorian, jealous, possessive, a storm barely contained. And for the first time in a long while, his desperation didn't soften me. It made me angry. I wrenched my wrist free, glaring up at him. Don't touch me like I'm property. The words hit him harder than my physical resistance. His jaw flexed, but he tried to mask it with arrogance. You're embarrassing yourself. No, I snapped, voice sharp enough to cut through the bass of the music. You embarrassed me when you stood on that stage and called me old and dull. Around us, a few people turned, curious, whispers starting. I didn't care. Let them listen. Let them hear the truth. Dorian leaned closer, his cedar scent sharp and invasive. Lower your voice, he hissed. We're in public. I laughed bitterly. Oh, now you care about appearances? Funny, because in public you had no problem tearing me down. His eyes darkened, panic flashing behind the mask of his cool exterior. Kieran, stop. You don't understand. I don't understand, I said, my voice steady but laced with hurt. I gave you everything. My savings, my time, my heart. And the moment you tasted fame, you decided I was dead weight. Before he could reply, Victor appeared, sliding between us like oil on water. Gentlemen, he said with a sharp smile, eyes darting around at the onlookers. Let's not make a scene. Kieran, you've been incredible for Dorian, truly, but we're pivoting to a younger demographic now. That's just business. I turned my gaze on Victor, letting the disgust show. You're pivoting to disposable, and you'll throw him away the second his shine fades. Victor's smile twitched, but he didn't answer. He didn't have to. We both knew I was right. I looked back at Dorian. And you let them convince you that I'm the liability. His lips parted, but no words came. Just silence, thick and suffocating. My chest tightened as I pushed past them, weaving through the crowd. I needed air, space, anything but the suffocating weight of betrayal pressing down on me. Outside, the night was cool, the city alive with neon and noise. I leaned against the wall, trying to steady my breathing. For a moment, I thought maybe I could just disappear into the dark, let the world swallow me whole. Then my phone buzzed. A notification. My stomach dropped when I saw it. It was Dorian's new story. A photo of him, cheek pressed against some wide-eyed influencer's face. Caption: New era, new vibe. My vision blurred. The betrayal was complete. He hadn't just insulted me. He had replaced me. Or at least, that's what he wanted the world to believe. My hands trembled as I typed back a single message. Thanks for the clarity. Almost immediately, my phone lit up with his call. I stared at the screen until it went dark. Then another call. And another. On the fourth attempt I answered. Kieran, his voice came through. Urgent, uneven. Don't read into that post. It's PR. It means nothing. Nothing? My laugh was sharp, bitter. Do you know what it feels like to give someone your everything and then see them replace you with a hashtag? It's not real, he insisted. Desperation cracking his tone. You're twisting this. No, Dorian. I'm untwisting it. Silence. I could hear his ragged breathing. Could almost feel his frustration through the phone. I didn't cheat. I never touched them. You know that. Loyalty without respect is worthless. I said quietly. And you lost respect for me the second you opened your mouth on that stage. For a moment neither of us spoke. Then I whispered, "Goodbye, Dorian." I hung up before he could reply. Hours later I was half asleep on the couch when the pounding on my door jolted me awake. My heart stuttered. I opened the door to find him standing there. Not the polished star from the stage. Not the charming alpha the cameras adored. But a man unraveling, his hair messy, his shirt wrinkled. Eyes bloodshot. "Kieran," he said, voice raw. "Please." I tried to shut the door but he shoved his foot in, holding it open. "Don't walk away. Not like that." My chest ached, but I forced my tone flat. "You made your choice." He stepped inside, uninvited but desperate. "No." I panicked. I let Victor get in my head. I let fear turn me into someone I'm not. "You mean fear of losing your career?" I shot back. He shook his head violently. "Fear of losing you. Because I knew if I didn't shine bright enough you'd realize you deserve someone better. Someone younger. Someone like that neighbor Cassian." The name on his lips made me flinch. His jealousy was sharp, bitter. "You don't get to be jealous," I said, voice trembling. "Not after what you've done." He moved closer, his scent overwhelming, pressing against every wall I had left. His hand reached for mine, trembling. "Say you're not done with me. Say you're still mine." I looked into his eyes, saw the cracks in his pride, the fear he could no longer hide, and for a moment my resolve wavered. But then I remembered the stage, the laughter, the post. I pulled my hand back. "You want me to say I'm still yours? Then prove I'm not just your safety net. Prove I'm not just the home you call dull." His lips parted, desperate words hovering. But before he could speak, my voice broke the air one last time. "Until then, Dorian, I'm not yours." His words still rang in my ears. "Say you're still mine." But before I could even answer, before I could throw him out or give in to the part of me that still ached for him, the shrill wail of the fire alarm sliced through the air. The lights in the hallway blinked red, doors opening as neighbors spilled out in confusion. The faint smell of smoke crawled under my nose. My body tensed instantly. "Everyone outside now," someone yelled. I froze, my mind spinning, but Dorian was already moving. He grabbed my arm, not in anger this time but in urgency, pulling me toward the stairwell. His grip was firm, protective, not the arrogant claim he'd made earlier. My chest twisted at the difference. The hallway was crowded with panicked voices, the shrieks of children, the elderly muttering, the heavy slam of doors. Heat and smoke drifted from one of the lower apartments. The building buzzed with chaos. On the rooftop, the night wind was cold against my sweat-damp skin. People huddled in clusters, wrapped in blankets the fire crew had tossed up, waiting to be evacuated fully. I leaned against the ledge trying to catch my breath, when Dorian draped his jacket around my shoulders without asking. His cedar scent clung to it, sharp but strangely steady. "You're shivering," he murmured. "I'm fine," I muttered, though my hands betrayed me, trembling around the fabric. We stood there in the cold glow of emergency lights, surrounded by neighbors, sirens wailing below. For the first time in weeks, there was no spotlight, No stage, no fans, just us. Stripped down to something raw. He leaned closer, his voice rougher than the wind. Kieran, I meant what I said. I'm terrified of losing you. That's why I said those awful things. I thought if I pushed you away first, it wouldn't hurt as much when you realized you deserved better. His confession hit me like smoke filling my lungs. My throat tightened. So you humiliated me, to protect yourself? His eyes were dark, vulnerable in a way I hadn't seen in a long time. I know it's twisted, but yes. I turned away, staring out over the city lights below. That's not love, Dorian. That's fear. And fear doesn't excuse cruelty. He took a step closer. The heat of him pressed into my side. Then let me try again. Let me show you what love looks like without the fear. Before I could reply, a piercing cry cut through the rooftop. A little Omega child sobbed, clinging to his father, an alpha who looked pale and disoriented, barely able to calm him. Panic spiked in the air, pheromones flaring uncontrolled. Without hesitation, Dorian crouched down. He coaxed the child into his arms, rocking gently, humming a tune I recognized instantly, the same melody he used to practice in our tiny apartment years ago. The boy's sobs softened, his breathing steadied, and within minutes he was calm enough to be returned to his shaken father. My chest tightened at the sight. That was the Dorian I had fallen for. Not the star, not the PR puppet, but the man who carried compassion in his bones. When he stood again, his eyes found mine. There was no arrogance, no mask, just quiet sincerity. That's who I am when I'm not drowning in noise. I couldn't answer. My throat was too tight. Eventually, the building was cleared for re-entry. Everyone shuffled back inside, exhaustion heavy in the air. Dorian stayed close, his hand hovering near my back but not quite touching, like he wanted to protect me but knew I'd push him away if he assumed too much. In the elevator, it was just us. The silence was suffocating. His reflection in the mirrored wall looked tired, almost haunted. He broke it softly. Stay with me tonight, just to sleep. No cameras, no noise, just truth. I swallowed hard, my heart thundering in my chest. Part of me screamed to say no, to push him out of my life for good. But another part, the part that remembered his melodies, his warmth, his quiet acts of care, whispered yes. One night, I said finally. My voice trembled, only truth. His relief was immediate, flooding his scent until the small elevator felt drenched in it. He nodded, eyes closing briefly as if in silent thanks. Later, in the dim glow of my bedroom, we lay side by side, not touching, not speaking, just breathing in the silence we had both avoided for too long. The streetlight filtered in through the blinds, casting faint gold across his face. For once, he didn't look like the man on posters or the one posing in viral stories. He just looked like Dorian, messy hair, tired eyes, and something broken but real in his expression. I turned slightly, my voice barely a whisper. If you think an apology in private will fix everything, you're wrong. His eyes flicked to mine. I'm not apologizing in private. Tomorrow I'll do it in front of everyone. The whole industry. They'll know the truth. I let out a shaky laugh. You? Admit you were wrong. Publicly? I will, he said firmly, voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. And if you turn me away after that, then let the world watch me break. His words left me breathless. Not because I trusted them completely, but because for the first time he didn't sound like a star reciting lines. He sounded like a man begging for his last chance. I rolled onto my back, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow will tell me if you mean it. He turned too, lying on his side to face me. No. Tonight already does. The weight of his gaze pressed against me. Hot and suffocating, yet strangely comforting. My chest rose and fell, my pulse pounding in my ears. I closed my eyes, whispering into the dark. Then let's see if truth can survive daylight. I didn't sleep much that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt the weight of his breathing beside me. Dorian lay still, but I knew he wasn't asleep either. The streetlight cut a faint line across his face, and in that fragile light he didn't look like the alpha everyone adored. He looked like a man stripped of his armor, trembling just beneath the surface. When dawn slipped through the blinds, I rolled onto my side, away from him. My chest was heavy, my throat dry. He shifted behind me, his voice low. careful, almost afraid. Kieran, he whispered, say something. I turned slowly, meeting his eyes. You think one night fixes years of taking me for granted? He sat up, running a hand down his face. No. But last night, I realized how much I've been pretending. How much I've been hiding behind noise because I was terrified of being small without it. I pushed myself upright, pulling the jacket tighter around me. And humiliating me was your way of being strong? He winced. It was my way of being a coward. His honesty cut through me more than his arrogance ever had. My voice softened despite myself. Then why do I feel like you're still performing? Like everything you say is a line, rehearsed to keep me from leaving. I'm not performing, he said quickly, desperate. I swear, if I cared about image, I wouldn't be here in your apartment, in yesterday's clothes, begging for another chance. Silence stretched between us, thick with all the things we weren't saying. I finally asked, so what happens when you're back in front of cameras? When Victor whispers in your ear that I make you look weak? His jaw tightened. Then I'll fire Victor. I laughed bitterly. You'd never. He's your golden ticket. He leaned forward, eyes burning into mine. You're my life, Kieran. He's just a manager. My chest clenched. The words I'd longed to hear, delivered in the tone I craved. Raw, unpolished, real. But could I trust them? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Cassian, gallery at 3, quiet light. No crap. Dorian saw it. His whole body went rigid, scent spiking sharp and possessive. You're seeing him. I picked up the phone, holding his gaze. He offered quiet. Something you used to give me. His eyes darkened. Don't use him to punish me. I'm not punishing you, I said softly. I'm reminding you that I have choices too. The words seemed to knock the air out of him. He sank back, running both hands through his hair. For once he had no retort. Later that day, I sat in the corner of my kitchen while Dorian paced. He hadn't left, not even to shower or change. He was determined, maybe desperate. I'm going live, he announced suddenly. My head jerked up. What? He grabbed his phone, hands shaking but resolute. If you won't believe me, then I'll make the whole world hear it. No PR spin, no filters. I stood quickly. Dorian, don't. But it was too late. The red light blinked. He was live to thousands, maybe millions. He looked straight into the camera, eyes hollow and raw. I need to say something. Last week, I called the person who saved me, old and dull. I said it for applause. I said it to fit an image. And it was the ugliest thing I've ever done. The comments poured in instantly. Who is he talking about? Is this about the sponsor guy? Wow, confession stream? Dorian didn't flinch. His name is Kieran. He's the reason I'm here. He believed when no one else did. If my brand wants me to erase him, then fire their brand. If fame means losing him, then fame isn't worth it. I stood frozen, my throat closing. The live ended abruptly. The phone buzzed nonstop. Victor's furious calls, messages flooding in. Dorian silenced it and dropped the phone on the counter. He turned to me, eyes searching mine. Do you believe me now? I exhaled slowly, gripping the counter for support. You said it, but words are easy. Consistency is proof. He nodded once. Firm. Then let me prove it every day. I didn't answer. Couldn't. My heart ached too much to give him the certainty he wanted. By late afternoon, I found myself walking into Cassian's gallery anyway. The walls glowed with soft light, the hush of jazz playing faintly in the background. It was peaceful, grounding, everything I had been starving for. Cassian approached with his usual calm smile. You came. I needed quiet, I admitted. You'll always have it here, he said, his gaze lingering on me in a way that was both gentle and sure. For a moment, I let myself breathe. Let myself imagine what it would be like to be seen without being used. Then the air shifted. A familiar cedar musk curled around me. My pulse spiked before I even turned. Dorian was there, standing in the gallery doorway, shoulders tense, eyes blazing but not with arrogance this time. With desperation. No PR, he said, his voice rough and breaking. No cameras, just me. And the truth I've been choking on. The gallery was quiet, its walls painted with soft white light. Jazz hummed low from hidden speakers, like a heartbeat in the background. I'd come here to breathe, to feel something clean, something untouched by lies. And then Dorian walked in. His presence filled the room instantly, not just his cedar scent, sharp and heavy, but the raw energy rolling off him. His eyes locked on me. No mask, no polish, just a man stripped bare. No PR, he said again, his voice rough. No cameras, just me, and the truth I've been choking on. Cassian stood at my side, his hand lightly brushing my arm as if grounding me. If this is your moment, he told Dorian calmly, take it right, or let him go. The weight of both their gazes pressed against me. My pulse roared in my ears. Dorian stepped forward, slow, deliberate. 3 truths, he said, his voice trembling but clear. I folded my arms, my chest tight. Go on. 1, he said, holding my gaze. I called you old because I felt young and small next to you. You made me realize how far I still had to grow, and that terrified me. My throat tightened, but I said nothing. 2, he continued, his voice breaking. I called you dull because your calm made me face my own chaos. You were steady, and I was afraid that steadiness would expose just how unstable I really was. The air around us shifted. I felt the honesty in his tone, the vulnerability he'd never allowed himself before. And 3, he whispered, his eyes shining. I don't want fame if it means editing you out of my story. I would rather lose everything than lose you. Silence hung heavy, thicker than any applause or crowd noise ever had. My chest ached with every beat of my heart. Cassian's hand dropped from my arm. He gave a small nod, stepping back. Then prove it, every day, or he's gone. His voice was steady, but his eyes flicked to me once more, lingering with something unspoken. Before he turned and walked away, the gallery doors closed softly behind him. Now it was just us. Dorian moved closer, his hands shaking at his sides. Kieran, I've been a coward. I've let fear of losing you turn me into someone cruel. I thought if I hurt you first, I wouldn't have to feel the pain of you leaving me someday. But I see now, I was wrong. I hurt us both. I swallowed hard, my arms dropping to my sides. Words are easy, Dorian. You've said beautiful things before, but consistency, that's what matters. Can you give me that? He nodded instantly, his eyes wet. Then let me. Every day, publicly, privately, however you need. I'll prove it. I looked away, staring at one of the paintings on the wall, brushstrokes layered, mistakes hidden under new colors, yet somehow more beautiful for it. My voice was quiet. Choosing love isn't once, it's daily. And if you want me, you have to choose me every single day. He stepped even closer, so near his warmth brushed against me. Then I'll wake up and choose you. Tomorrow, the day after, and the day after that, until the last day I breathe. Tears pricked my eyes before I could stop them. I bit down on my lip, shaking my head. You make it sound easy. He shook his head fiercely. No, it won't be easy. I'll stumble. I'll mess up. But I'll keep choosing you. That's the promise. Something inside me cracked then. Not in pain but in release. I finally looked back at him. Really looked. Not the star. Not the alpha drowning in noise. But the boy I'd found with broken strings and a trembling voice. The one who sang to survive. Slowly he reached for my wrist. The leather band I'd left behind was in his hand. May I? He asked softly. My breath caught. I nodded. His fingers brushed my skin as he slipped it back on, fastening it with trembling hands. The warmth of his touch seeped through me. Grounding. Real, I whispered. This band isn't a leash. His eyes shone as he replied. It's a vow. For a long moment, neither of us moved. Then the door burst open. Victor storming in, face red with fury. What the hell was that stunt, Dorian? Do you realize what you've done? You've ruined weeks of planning. Dorian turned, his voice steady, cold. Then ruin me. But don't ever tell me to erase him again. Victor sputtered. You're throwing away your career. No, Dorian said firmly, his scent pulsing with power. I'm saving my life. Victor stared at him, at me, then scoffed, shaking his head. Fine. Destroy yourself. Don't say I didn't warn you. He stormed out, the echo of his footsteps fading fast. Dorian turned back to me, his eyes softer now. You're my choice, Kieran. Not my safety net. Not my brand. My choice. I exhaled slowly, the tension in my chest loosening. Then show me, daily. He stepped closer, pressing his forehead to mine. His voice trembled. I love you. Not because you grounded me, because you made me brave enough to ground myself. The tears I'd been holding back finally spilled, sliding hot down my cheeks. My voice cracked as I whispered back, then be brave. Every day, his lips brushed my forehead, gentle, reverent. And for the first time in weeks, maybe months, I let myself believe that we weren't ending. We were beginning again. Later, as we walked out of the gallery into the cold night, the city lights glimmered like 1,000 eyes watching. But for once, I didn't care who saw us. He slipped his hand into mine, fingers warm and steady. Coffee tomorrow? He asked quietly. I managed a soft laugh through the tears. Coffee tomorrow, therapy the day after, and maybe vacation, no Wi-Fi after that. His smile broke through, small but real. Deal. And when he squeezed my hand tighter, I realized this was the first time in a long time I wasn't holding him up. We were holding each other.